gear, head, technical stuff. Okay. Yeah.
Being creative is simple and fun when you simply concentrate on getting it done. So let me show you now in my own special way how I write a song a day.
Welcome to How I Write a Song a Day, the weekly show in which I attempt to dissect my process for your enjoyment and benefit. A lot of folks have been asking for insight into various technical aspects of Song a Day. What microphones do I use? Which recording interface should I buy? Do you have any EQ tips or mixing tricks? Well, let me just start by saying that dealing with gear, electronics, and software is my least favorite part of making music. And really, one thing I've learned over the years is that a practiced songwriter can make amazing music with the worst gear available. I think this is true of any art. Rule number one is to start making stuff with what you have now, be it a $10 cassette recorder, an old 8-track, or a computer with a microphone. In other words, don't focus on the gear. The gear is not important. What's important is that you practice your art, doing it as often as you possibly can. Push the limits of what you have available to you, and then sooner or later, you'll reach the point where you know what you need to do to take the next steps. A good example of this for me was learning how to edit video. I started out on iMovie when I was doing Game Jew episodes, and eventually I got to the point where I wanted to have little things flying across the screen, or I wanted to do green screening, and I knew that I had to teach myself Final Cut. So, the gear is not important. But that being said, let me give you a little tour. On the physical side, the heart of any modern recording setup is the interface. It's the thing that gets the sound you're making into your computer. I use this thing called an M-Box, but if you look on Amazon, you'll find a ton of options at a whole variety of prices. Just type in recording interface or audio recording interface. Next, you'll need a microphone. I have several large diaphragm condenser microphones. Don't ask me what that means, look it up on Wikipedia. None of which I paid over $100 for. They're cheap, and they get the job done. Finally, in addition to all my real instruments, which you've seen, I have this USB keyboard, which I'll explain about in a second. On the software side, if you've been paying attention, you know I use Record by Propellerheads. It's really an awesome piece of software. The thing is, I've been using it for about 10 years now, so I think I've forgotten how steep the learning curve is. It's pretty steep. If you're technically minded, I suggest starting out with the tutorials online. There's all kinds of them. If you're not up to that kind of technical challenge and you're on a Mac, my advice with software would be to start using GarageBand. It's really a great program to do a lot of different things. If you're on a PC, I have really no idea what you should do. But maybe somebody can suggest something in the comments? So, about the USB keyboard, basically I plug this in via USB into my computer and it allows me to play through Record or GarageBand any kind of crazy instruments that I want it to. And that's pretty much it as far as the gear goes. As I said, the gear doesn't really make it for me. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about. Stratumcaster asked me if I had any kind of EQ or mixing tips. I don't. Not because I don't want to tell you, but I'm honestly like the worst person you could possibly be asking about this. I come from the school of winging it, and I've been winging it for so long that my stuff sounds halfway decent. But that's really the only reason. I don't actually really know what I'm doing. Again, it comes down to practice. Just practice, fiddle around with stuff, and follow your ears. You know what sounds good, you know what you like. That's what you should focus on. But whatever you do, don't get bogged down in gear. The one exception to this would be, of course, if you're the kind of person that nerds out on fancy equipment. If that's your thing, go ahead, nerd out. More power to you. The main thing, though, is don't use gear, or lack thereof, as an excuse to not do what you know you want to do. Chances are high that you have like 5 different ways to start recording in your house right now. Seriously, a cheap cassette recorder is a great place to start. The answering machine. Do people still have answering machines? Your phone probably has a function to record. There's nothing stopping you. You have the power. You have the power.